All right, friends, welcome back to our online Bible study in the Gospel of Matthew. Today we're going to be in the back half of chapter 15, and I want to give you a very clear, very succinct invitation. Now, as we go through the back half of chapter 15, I'm going to be kind of picking at two different things. One is the main thing, which will get us to this invitation. But then there's also something I want to pick at just a little bit, which is a through line that we see run all through these three passages that we're looking at. I'm going to focus on the central passage. But it's a through line that we see not just here, but in the Gospel of Matthew as a whole, but it's highlighted here, so I at least want you to get your eyes on that. Okay. First little part of this, verses 21 through 28, going to really refer you to the email here. Alex and Elizabeth are going to walk you through more of the details here, but just keep this in mind. At this point, everybody is seeing Jesus just through the lens of him being the potential Messiah, Savior, King for the Jewish people. Now, by extension, the Jewish people have always been called to bless the people around them, so Jesus would do that. But he's being seen as potentially the Messiah just for the Jewish people. Well, you now have a non-Jewish woman here who has this very interesting interaction with Jesus, where she says, look, I know I may not be able to have the whole meal, but at least give me the crumbs. And you see in her faith and in Jesus' response that maybe there's more going on with Jesus, which gets us to that through line. Jump down to the last passage here, the feeding of the 4,000. Scholars believe, based on this account and the account in Mark of the same event, that this probably happened in a non-Jewish area. So you have the feeding of the 5,000 for the Jews. You now have this one for non-Jews. And again, you see this through line. Maybe Jesus is up to more than just by extension of being the Jewish Messiah, blessing the Gentiles. Maybe he's actually a Messiah for even more than just the Jewish people. Again, at this point, we're just getting hints at this. To hone in on the main thing I want to talk about today, though, look at that middle passage with me, beginning in verse 29. Jesus went out from there and walked beside the Sea of Galilee, and he went up on the mountain and sat down there. And great crowds came to him, bringing with them the lame, the blind, the crippled, the mute, and many others, and they put them at his feet. And look at this. He healed them. Okay, look. What people are seeing here is they're seeing things that are unbelievable. They're seeing unbelievable things. That's kind of the bottom line of verse 30 here. Sit in that for just a minute. Parse that out. They're seeing unbelievable things. It means they're seeing things that don't make sense. They're seeing things they don't understand. But yet, they're seeing them. It's this moment when the previously unbelievable becomes undeniable. What do you do with that? I'm fortunate, because of what I do for a living, that with some relative frequency, I have people tell me stories that will begin with something like, I'm not telling a lot of people about this because they'll think I'm crazy, but I don't think you'll think that I'm crazy. And then they'll tell me a story that if you try very, very hard, you can believe is some kind of coincidence. But you have to work really hard to believe that there wasn't some kind of hand in orchestrating what they have described. And then you add all of those things up, and it just you begin to realize that you have to either believe that there is something orchestrating these things, especially when you put them all together, or you have to believe that the world is full of unbelievable chance. I mean, just unbelievable luck in some situations. And you hear enough of these stories and you begin to think, okay, all right, I don't understand these things. They seem unbelievable, but yet they seem to be undeniable. What do you do with that? Look at verse 31. I love this. Look at what the crowd did. The translation that I have, it says the crowd wondered. I want to invite you to wonder. Wonder is the right response to seeing things that are unbelievable. when it seems like the unbelievable begins to be undeniable. To wonder is to say, I do not understand all of this. I don't have it all buttoned up. It does not all make sense to me. I cannot explain it all. It means to hold that in one hand and to hold in the other hand that I'm also not going to just discount it because I don't understand it. So both of those things. I don't understand it, and yet there seems to be something here. So what am I going to do with it? I'm going to wonder. I'm going to sit with it. That's the invitation that I want to give you, to wonder at the world and something specific. It could be something that has happened in your life or something that you've heard about from someone else. It could just be the magnificence of the world as a whole. I'm going to invite you this week to wonder. Say, I don't quite get it, but I'm also not willing to turn a blind eye and pretend like this isn't happening. To sit in the wonder and just reflect on that. The crowds wondered. Wonder is the response to when we see things that we don't understand. Last little bit here. They wondered. They saw the mute speaking, the crippled being healed, the lame walking, and the blind seeing. And look at what they did. They glorified the God of Israel. Now, if it says they glorified the God of Israel, it doesn't say it explicitly, but what's implied here? That they are not people who currently worship the God of Israel. This is probably also people who are not Jewish people. These are the Gentiles. And even they are beginning to wonder at who is this Jewish rabbi that they call Jesus? Who is he? Again, we don't see it clearly yet, but we're beginning to see that maybe Jesus isn't just the Messiah, the Savior and the King for the Jews, but maybe he's a Savior and a King that has a broader reach and a more broad reign. Friends, keep with your reading. And today I hope that you'll reflect on those two things. Again, the through line. What are we seeing that Jesus is up to here? And the more specific thing, take that invitation to take even just 5 or 10 minutes and to wonder. It's an easy invitation, but it does take time. God bless you, friends. Keep with your reading, and I'll see you next time.